the Football Terrace this morning. Hit the like button, subscribe, make sure those bell notifications are turned on as well. Lots to delve into this morning. We want to take your calls as well. Weekend of football over. The Premier League is kicking off again straight away. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, big fixtures. And there's transfer news. There's problems at Old Trafford. What's going on with Mikel Arteta? Could he be going Barca? Is he signing a new deal? Benzema updates and much more for you this morning. But as ever, when it comes to the terrace, your opinions are so important to us. Your views, your feelings around certain circumstances, all of this matters more than anything else. Let me know where you're watching from around the world. I'm always intrigued to know where people are tuning in from, and big up yourself. Hope that you are well. Morning to Mustafa, morning to George, and everybody else that is tuning in today. Now, I wanted to start off with a real interesting story from yesterday. And it emerged quite late last night. And that was surrounding the situation with Mikel Arteta. Now, Mikel Arteta, as we know, his start to life at Arsenal was very difficult. But what he has built is a team that is now challenging, in my opinion, 2 years running for the English Premier League. There are still a lot of question marks over his ability to land the major trophies for Arsenal. And I think those question marks are justified because he hasn't won one yet. So to question it is, I think, normal. Now, there's a big story that emerged yesterday that stated that Mikel Arteta was ready to leave Arsenal at the end of the season and potentially become the Barcelona manager. Now, this news, it did send a shockwave through the Arsenal fan base and the Arsenal community. Whether you're somebody that was upset or shocked or frustrated by that news, or other individuals that were ready to crack open bottles of champagne and celebrate, with us knowing that Xavi is leaving or has been fired from the Barcelona job, there is an opening now in the summer. And Mikel Arteta's name has been mentioned by a number of sources from Barcelona and Spain as a candidate that they are interested in bringing to the Camp Nou to lead them forward. Now, of course, depending upon your disposition with Arteta and Arsenal, you're going to react to that in multiple ways. Now, it didn't take long, though, for the British media, the British journalists to come out and shut these stories down. You could see one here that has come from Standard Sport, that's the Evening Standard, that Arteta has no plans to walk away from Arsenal at the end of the season. Arteta remains committed to Arsenal, where he is contracted until 2025. He has always played down links to Barcelona and stressed his commitment to Arsenal and is determined to win major trophies with the Gunners. Now, this is a statement that's come out from via the Evening Standard. We've seen a number of other outlets, including That's Football, also push a very similar story. So the Arteta camp and Arsenal are standing shoulder to shoulder and stating that these stories are completely untrue. He is committed to Arsenal. And this is in the backdrop of other stories that claim that Mikel Arteta is very close to signing a new deal as well. So it's one to keep an eye on, in my opinion. And I say that I'm not trying to crap upon this news. I think journalists right now are only reporting on what they're saying. But I think there is a chance that he goes to Barcelona. Maybe not this summer, but at some stage and at some point. I think it's something Arsenal fans should be open-minded to, giving the fact that he is Spanish, that managing Barcelona is one of the biggest jobs in the world. That doesn't mean he'll leave this summer, but it's certainly a story, in my opinion, to keep your eyes on. I wouldn't, if I was an Arsenal fan, discount this story as absolute nonsense. I just wouldn't. I genuinely wouldn't. And that isn't a dig at Arsenal. It's just my personal feelings around this. I think he stays. I think he signs a new deal at Arsenal. However, do I think Barcelona are genuinely talking to him? Or have they started those early conversations with his camp? Probably. Is there an interest to some degree in that job? I believe there would be. Why wouldn't there be an interest in managing Barcelona, managing Real Madrid, managing the two of the biggest clubs in the world, especially for a Spaniard? I think there is some credibility to that. And depending on how this season ends and how this season goes and how the future looks, Arteta may be more and more inclined to look at that situation. Why would he not? What if his season at Arsenal starts to fall away, but Barca are still interested, as an example? So look, I think it's highly unlikely, but I don't believe it's a big, fake, made-up lie by a Spanish. I don't think the whole thing is a lie. I don't quite believe the extent of he's going to quit at the end of the season. But I also don't think it's a nothing burger where there's no credibility to the links at the very least, is what I'm trying to say here. But look, I don't think he's going to leave. I think he's going to remain the Arsenal manager. The big question is, does he deserve the new deal? Does he deserve the new deal? A lot of Arsenal fans were furious about the idea of him getting a new deal before the end of the season. Why is it being discussed? I want to gain your opinions on that. I want to know how you would feel about him being awarded a new deal at this stage, at this moment in time. Let us know in the comments section below what you think and feel regarding that. That's a really weird comment. Scary Arsenal. I don't even get the context of that banter during this moment in time. Let's have a look at some more of your comments surrounding this story. If you guys are indeed, sometimes you guys are just chatting to each other. Arsenal fans are over the moon. He's staying. Bitch, what you happy for? I get what you're saying there. I understand the context of that. Not yet, Terry. Wait until the end of the season. That's what Mafia Boss has got to say. I agree. I think Arsenal should wait until the end of the season. I genuinely think they should wait until the end of the season. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Why would you not? I think you've got to assess it then. Excuse me. I don't think you should be assessing the situation now. I just don't think it's right. A few people asking, why would Arteta be interested in Barca? He's a Barcelona boy. He's a Barcelona boy. I swear he came through their academy. I'm pretty sure Mikel Arteta came through the youth academy of Barcelona. I think he even played, I want to say he played for their B team before moving to Paris Saint-Germain. So he's a Barcelona guy. He's a Barcelona guy. Terry, you know, new undeserved contracts demotivates. Sorry. I've got a frog in my throat. I can't get it out. Yeah, I understand that. I don't think Arteta is, I think Arteta is upon the edge of deserving a new deal or not. And that's based on what he wins and what he achieves this season, how far they are from the top, which is why I think they should wait at this moment. It's LB. Hope you're well, brother. He says, I think he'll probably stay. Barca's finances are in the mud. Difficult job. Listen, listen, that's a great point as well. I think that's why I look at the situation and think to myself, is he interested in the Barcelona job? Of course he is. Of course he is. But would he leave? There's multiple reasons why he may. There's multiple reasons why he wouldn't. I don't think he's about to quit either at the end of the season. I think that is a fabrication on the story. At the same, a lot of people are saying it's the Barca links that are saying this. It could also be the Arteta. If we're gonna play conspiracy theory here, could also be the Arteta camp that's leaking it. Wouldn't that make Arsenal fans demand he gets that new deal quicker? There's multiple ways you can look at this. But yes, I agree. Going to Barca right now is a great point, LB. I wouldn't do it. Unless Arsenal are not offering you a new deal and don't want to renew, I wouldn't take. Yeah, you're right. I probably wouldn't take the job. Arsenal is a better place to be right now than Barcelona, which is, you wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, but you would say it now probably. I'd love to get your views and your takes on that, people. Big up LB, who's on the Top 6 show later today. And of course, I love Straight Facts on Tuesdays with him and Dan Potts tomorrow. So make sure you're all tuning in to that. This comment here, Ibuka says, Arteta needs to leave. Fred says, Arteta doesn't deserve it. Expand on that for me, please, my friend. Comment here for one of our members, Studio Hooks. Long time, Studio Hooks. I haven't seen you, my bro. He says, Arteta getting a new deal signifies Arsenal's value in stability. No matter how much people cry and say get people like Ancelotti, there is no guarantee that someone like him would win anything. Oh, that's a really good point. It's a good point because there is facts in that. There are facts within that. There is no guarantee that a better manager wins trophies either. Stability is also a key component of competing and success. But there does come a point where you'll have to gamble on that stability by trying to better Mikel Arteta should he not lift the major trophies. There's only so long you can go on without winning the major trophies, no matter how good your manager is. When, by the way, you're a club of Arsenal standing. If you've got the budget of a Burnley, a budget of a Brighton, the budget of a Bournemouth, I don't know why I mentioned teams with B, but I did. If you're making top 8, top 6, oh, they made the Champions League, oh, they had a good cup run, and you're maintaining very high standards in the most competitive league in the world, and you're competing well above your financial bracket, you're punching above your weight, then I understand the idea of changing one of those managers to try and go one step further is a huge risk that is maybe likely to backfire because you're already punching above your weight. When it comes to Arsenal, one of the richest clubs in the world, one of the most wealthiest clubs, one of the biggest spenders, one of the biggest wage bills, when you look at the whole of football, once you get to a stage where you're nearly winning league titles, you're going deep into Champions Leagues, you have to, at some stage, go, okay, it's 4 years now of competing without winning these things. And I'm speaking hypothetically. I know it's not been 4 years of competing for Arteta. Maybe we should look for somebody else. But it has to be a better manager. You can't just get rid of, in my opinion, Arteta and go for another fledgling manager or a completely unproven guy because you're already at the top, almost at the top, and you need to get over the line. At the same time, listen, Pep and Klopp, I've seen Gooners that have said Klopp's finished a year ago. Finished, they said. Now wanting Klopp to come, oh, we should sack Arteta and get Klopp. You're not getting Klopp. Like, that's, again, I find that to just be a bit of a snidey thing to say to your audience because you're not getting a manager like him. It isn't happening for love nor money. It just isn't. So I do like what you've said here, Studio Hooks, but there is huge amounts of nuance to what you have said here and situation. I just don't think you can apply that blanket rule of because we're stable, never change manager. I think it depends on what club, who the manager is, who else is available, and how long you've been stable for. Because if your club has built a stable foundation, you should be able to cope with the changing of a manager without falling apart. So there we go. There we go. Terry, what's your definition of a farmers league? Really good question. I look at a farmers league. If we're going to, I don't actually use that phrase myself, but I view it as where the top 2 or 3 teams are really good and can compete with anybody in Europe. But once you start dropping below that, the standard becomes very, very poor. And I'll give you an example. If you've got a team, let's just take Man City, the best in England. If Man City could rotate their team for a Premier League game on a Sunday, because they have a Champions League knockout game on a Wednesday, but in that rotation, they'd left out all of their best players, then I would say the Premier League's a farmers league. You can't do that in England. City couldn't leave out 6 or 7 of their best players and rotate their main 11 for a Premier League game on a Sunday to keep people fresh for a game on a Wednesday. That, for me, demonstrates the lack of competitiveness in the league. And I've seen PSG do that, by the way. I've seen them have games where they've got a big Champions League match, and I've seen Verratti, Quinios, I've seen Neymar, Mbappe, Messi, all on the bench or not even in the squad for a league game because of a Champions League match. For me, that's when you know, that's what I would consider to be what the kids call a farmers league. Genuinely, that's what I would call a farmers league. Genuinely. So yeah, that's how I define it. You can't do that in the Prem. You can't do that in La Liga. I don't think you can do that in Serie A. I don't even think you can do that in the Bundesliga. I don't see teams doing it. So those 4 are the big 4 leagues for a reason. Outside of that, not so much. Lee hearing, listen, I guarantee Lee was happy when he heard the news about Arteta maybe leaving because Lee wants him gone. And listen, I've always said about Lee is entitled to have that opinion. He just is. The only element I disagree with when it comes to Lee is he's like, go and get Ancelotti. Ancelotti's not joining Arsenal while he's at Real Madrid. So it becomes, who he wants to replace Arteta is better than Arteta, but isn't attainable. So my point is, who's attainable that do you think is better? Because that's when it becomes a more open debate or a harder debate. Zidane isn't coming in to manage the team in England right now. Jurgen Klopp isn't going to manage another English team, especially not right now. Ancelotti's not available. Pep's not available. So who is out there? I don't see Diego Simeone coming to Arsenal. But maybe that's the only one that I say of an elite level, world-class manager who I think is probably attainable for Arsenal if they paid the money. Outside of that, you're going for more untried, untested managers. Genuinely, in my opinion. So that's where I get Lee wants him out. I just don't agree with all the people he thinks should replace him. Not because they're not good managers, but because they are not attainable. So it's like saying, oh, Man United, man, we've got to sell Rashford. Who would you replace him with? There's only one player I want to replace him with is Mbappe. And if we don't get Mbappe, I'm going to be angry if we get rid of Rashford and don't sign Mbappe. But I'm setting myself up for failure because that's never happening. So it becomes I don't know what the word for it is. It almost becomes like a circular opinion. And I don't even know if that's a real phrase, but it's what way I view it in my head. Almost you're angry at the manager you've got, but or player you've got, but you know you're not going to replace him with the target you're abstaining to. So even if you get rid of that manager that should make you happy, you're going to be angry at the end result because you're not going to bring in the person you want, but you know that person is not attainable. It's almost like you're creating this cycle where you can remain angry. That's how it feels to me on the outside looking in. And people are, do you get where I'm coming from? That's how it feels. I look at it and go, but why would you even make yourself believe that? Because you know you're probably going to be left angry and disappointed because you're creating a scenario that's very unlikely. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Viewers, we want to take your calls this morning as well. Another big story that we know is circulating. We know that Marcus Rashford has arrived today back at the training ground at Old Trafford. But there is talk for Marcus Rashford to be suspended by Manchester United Football Club. In fact, there are some rumours that have circulated online that he will be suspended by Manchester United Football Club. Some saying he should be sold. What are we saying? What are we saying, ladies and gentlemen? What are we saying? Should he be suspended? Should he be punished further? Should he be sold because of what happened at the weekend? Genuinely, how do you see this? What do you believe in relation to this situation? Because for me, as a Manchester United fan, I'm highly, highly disappointed in the actions of Marcus Rashford. I'm frustrated that he called in sick after being out at a nightclub. I'm frustrated that there are rumors and real credible rumors in relation to people I've spoken to that he has done this on multiple occasions this year. Maybe not called in sick to training, but gone out when maybe we would say a professional athlete and football player should be at home, eating well, sleeping early, especially in the context of how poor his season and Man United seasons are as a collective. This is an individual that I personally believe is supremely talented. But with a lot of these stories, a lot of these accusations coming out, I believe his head's not in the right place. Maybe suspending him is the right thing to do. Maybe disciplining him is correct, and it could put him back upon the straight and narrow. I still can't shake this feeling I have inside of me, though, that he should be sold. And this isn't because I think he's a bad player. This isn't because I don't even think he may turn it around. I just feel with Rashford, like I do with a number of players at Man United, I just think there is a bit of a jaded, tired frustration, not just with the player, but with the fan base towards the player, with the media towards that individual. So many years, and this is not just Marcus Rashford personally. You could label this against a number of players and a number of individuals and the club at large. Just with so much years of promise and expectation that's failed. I just think Rashford is in that category of individuals who has almost become part of the, and there's a number of players. You could put Pogba's face on this. You could put Fellaini's face on this. You could put Jose's face on this, Ollie's face on this. Many of players' faces could go. Maguire's face is front and center, in my opinion, on this notion of these poster boys of failure at the club. And I just feel to myself that with Rashford doing this, with this loss of belief in himself, with the manager, with everything that we're trying to create, even if Ten Hag's leaving, I feel as though cashing in on Rashford now, getting as much money as possible. We know that Barca want him. We know that PSG have been desperate to sign him. And with Mbappe seemingly leaving, this is a perfect opportunity to raise a good, fair amount of money for this player, give him a rebirth elsewhere, and for us to move on, to leave behind all the baggage, all the problems, even some and a lot of good memories as well behind, and start afresh. And what's the expression people use at times? Sometimes you've got to cut off a part of yourself to grow. And I feel as though Man United have got to do that. And on a personal level, it pains me to say it because I really like Rashford. But I love my football club more. And due to my own experience in leadership, my own experience in crisis management, on how to fix and solve departments or organizations, I've seen this on so many occasions. Sometimes I've been directly involved. Other times I've sort of project managed things from the outside. And I know that you can't equate everything that happens in the corporate business world to what happens in sport, but I do think the psychology of these matters are identical. Sometimes you have to remove bad people. Sometimes you have to remove good people to grow and move forward. These two things can all exist at exactly the same time. And I think Rashford is a person that we need to move on. Some of you will see it as cutting out a bad part of the club to improve. Some will see it as cutting out a good part to move the club forward. But I believe it will help improve Manchester United. I just do. Because it's twice now under the last two managers. One was an interim, really, in Rangnick, where the players become disgruntled or disillusioned. His form's dropped off. It's happened too often. It's happened too often. And I think he needs to be moved on. But I'd love to get your views. I would love to get your opinions on that situation. We had a few super chats that came in here and says, Terry, bro, what's your opinion on Ten Hag going public with Sancho and Rashford? But it is an internal matter for Rashford. It's a really good question. So this is how I would explain this situation. I think you have to be a special type of hypocrite and spiteful individual to be angry that on one hand, Ten Hag outed Sancho. So you're angry that he outed Sancho, but you're equally as angry that he hasn't treated Rashford in the same way. Because in your anger of the way Sancho was treated, you've said that it should be kept behind closed doors. There should be vague professional answers and that you shouldn't out a man in that way. And upon reflection, and pretty much throughout the whole course of the Sancho situation, I agree. I understand why Ten Hag may have done it. I understood that the reaction he was maybe looking for, but especially with hindsight, it was the wrong way to handle it. It's not been fair on Sancho. The leaks and the stories about him have been horrendous. And I've defended him every single step of the way when it comes to the leaks and the stories. It's horrendous. He's been eating his lunch in the car. I think it's disgusting. But because I think that's disgusting, I don't want to see Marcus Rashford treated equally as bad. That's why I state you have to be a very special type of hypocrite. You have to have a deep-rooted sense of spitefulness. Maybe there's a lot of anguish and pain in your own life that's causing this, I don't know, that makes you say, I hated how Sancho was treated, but therefore I want Rashford to be treated in the same way. That, for me, is strange behavior on every single level. The only time I get it is if that action has happened to you and you're still you haven't gotten over it and you're in a space of bitterness, spitefulness, because you've been wronged. But when it's not you personally, I don't understand why your mindset is, one person I love was treated badly, therefore I want everybody to be treated badly. I think that's a very spiteful, nasty, and cruel way to look at the world. Genuinely, I believe that. So I'm happy with how Ten Hag has handled it. I still wish that he didn't say it was an internal matter, because that's still implying there's a problem. I still wish he played it down. But the fact he didn't go into intricate detail, I think is key. I think it's the wrong way to handle things. So I'm happy with how the manager did it this time around. I just wish that he'd done it for Sancho as well. I believe in elevated behavior as opposed to trying to drag everybody down to a level that we're all unhappy with. I cannot fathom the reason why people view the world that way. And no one's ever been able to give me an explanation. It doesn't make sense to me. And people will say like Ten Hag's a hypocrite for doing it. No. I'm going to disagree with you on that. I'm going to defend Ten Hag on this. And I'll tell you as to why I'm defending him. You could argue there's hypocrisy because he did it to one and not the other. But you're not a hypocrite if you learn. Now, for instance, say who's out of favor at the club, who doesn't play that much now? Martial. Say Martial does it in 2 months' time and the manager outs him, then I agree he's a hypocrite. Because then he's proven that he did it to one, then not Sancho, doesn't do it to Rashford, but then does it to Martial. That tells you he's a hypocrite. He's treating people differently. But then say Martial does it, or Bruno does it, or Maguire does it, and he again keeps his mouth shut. He's not a hypocrite. He has learned the right thing to do. We cannot call people hypocrites for learning and addressing their previous mistakes. Otherwise, you are not encouraging people to improve on their poor behavior, their mistakes, their misgivings. If I remember once when Jose called out Conte for the way he celebrated, Jose is a hypocrite. He used to do it. No, Jose is not a hypocrite. He learned that behaving that way was wrong. He was told it was wrong for a decade. He changes. He stops doing it. And all he was stating is that I know it's wrong. I used to do it. And this is why it's wrong. And I think you should change. That doesn't make you a hypocrite. It means you've learned. So there's a difference, in my opinion, between someone that has improved their behavior and is now doing things the right way and a hypocrite. I understand why you would see him as a hypocrite. I totally get it, but there is a fundamental difference. Otherwise, if we're never encouraging and rewarding and praising people for doing things in the right way and changing, we're just going to call them hypocrites. All you're ever going to do, again, you exercise that point of view and you exercise it as a blanket across everybody. No one's going to improve. People are going to become bitter and go, well, what's the point of me behaving better if I'm still going to get crap for mistakes I've made? Again, it's a wrong and negative way, in my opinion, to look at the world, personally. But that's just my very humble opinion. Tell big fat birds consider you. How are you, big fat birds, my friend? I hope they're both well. Wonder if Rashford is telling us he's not behind our Ten Hag. It's obvious he and other players are not behind Ten Hag. It for me is very, very clear that he is not behind him. You don't behave this way if you're behind someone. I know KJ has my back day to day at work. If I need him, he's available and he works his backside off for me. He knows privately. We won't go into the personal details. He's compensated for that in multiple ways. But I also know that he has my back because we have a respect for one another. I've bent over backwards for every single boss I've ever had that I respected. And in fact, I still call them all boss to this day. I still treat them with the respect as if they were my boss. And if I could help them today, some of them haven't been my boss for 20 years. I would still help today because I have an underlying respect. The ones I didn't like, I wouldn't give them the steam off my piss today. Genuinely. So yes, I don't think he's working for him. Give me Højlund at Arsenal. We will provide for him. Man United's wingers care more about their own personal stats. I agree. I think Rasmus is so undertreated so undersupplied by so many of his teammates. It's horrendous to watch. Genuinely agree with you there, Studio Hooks. We all want our clubs to be better, but when we try to change, we are hypocrites. Lol, this is a new level of analysis killing our game. I agree. You're not a hypocrite for improve. Now, I would agree he's a hypocrite if he only changes for certain people. Then, though, you have to look at the scenarios still. How often has somebody done this? What's his reason for doing it? But as a general rule, no, I don't want him outing people publicly. I think saying, look, it's an internal matter, we're going to handle it ourselves, I think it's about as far as you can go. It's about as far as you, especially when we know that especially when you know what's that Rashford done. Also, the difference between the Sancho and the Rashford situation is we know that Rashford was at a nightclub when he shouldn't have been. Right? So he can't say no. He can't just ball-faced lie to the fans because we know. With the Sancho situation, we have no idea what's going on at training. So you can say nothing. You don't have to out him. You can just keep it behind closed doors. So, yeah, the situations are different in that regard. I completely and utterly agree. We do want to take your calls this morning, but I want to speak about another story before I go back to your comments and speak about all the other situations. Benzema to Chelsea. I want to put this up on the screen because this took me by surprise this morning. Benzema to Chelsea. Karim Benzema is not joining Chelsea, according to David Ornstein. They plan to avoid costly moves for older players and are prioritizing emerging elite talents like Cole Palmer and Gusto. I need to know what you all think about that. Just while I put the timestamp in, I need to know what you all think about that. And I tell you this now. They can't keep this signing under 24-year-olds thing going. Surely they can't be thinking this is a good idea. Not for love nor money can they think this is a good idea, Chelsea. Now, it doesn't need to be Benzema. Maybe they've looked at the loan deal and it is far too expensive for what they believe they're going to get. That would make sense. But this statement doesn't suggest that. It suggests we're not buying older players. We're buying emergent talent only. And my question to Chelsea fans is, and we will be talking about this on the Top 6 show, because I think it's such an important topic, but I want to get your opinions first. If Chelsea are only targeting young emerging players, how long is it going to take them to genuinely be able to compete? Cole Palmer has been amazing this year, but there's still the likelihood that he has some peaks and troughs because he's young. Surely Chelsea have to be focusing, have to be targeting, signing more experienced players. Now, it doesn't need to be a 36-year-old, granted, but this statement doesn't say that they're looking at other alternatives that are in their late 20s. It alludes to just emerging talent. And this has come from David Ornstein, so I believe it to be fairly credible. I would be worried about this as a Chelsea fan. I'm not trying to... I've said the word scaremonger before, and people tell me it's fearmongering. I've said fearmongering before, people say it's scaremongering. I think both exist now, so I'm just going to say either. I'm not trying to scare or put Chelsea fans into a state of panic. It's crazy. Now, I understand buying a lot of young talent and then flipping some of them and selling them on and making money. I get. But Chelsea have got to try and win. And I know Man United didn't do it in the 90s. You don't win anything with kids. Alan Hansen was right with that statement. He just applied it to the wrong team because Man United wasn't a team full of kids with the class of 92. It was a team with an exceedingly experienced and top-class senior-level spine to it, with Schmeichel, Pallister, Bruce, Ince, Cantona. Now, I know Ince was moved on the year that this was said, but he'd worked with many of these guys. Brian McClare. We had a senior spine for these kids. You do not win nothing with a squad as young as that. Generally speaking. Not when your star players are also young. You need 2, 3, 4 real quality experienced players. Doesn't make sense. Genuinely, I think it's a mistake from Chelsea. So the not signing Benzema in itself per se, okay. But it's the rest of that statement. That should be sobering to Chelsea fans. But I want to get your opinions. I want to know what you think. The Undertaker here says, if we don't protest, Chelsea will be gone as a football club. The Undertaker CFC, long time no see, my friend here, showing it he is not happy with this news, with what's being said. And I get that. And I understand that on every single level. By the way, Debunks backstage. Young Tommy was backstage as well. We will be bringing you on very, very soon in the show. So if you want to stay backstage, please feel free to. And we will be taking your calls. The link is in our live comment section if you want to phone in and have your say on this show, people. So feel free to do that. Kevin here says it's all about all that matters is turning a profit. Well, if that's all that matters for them, it's going to go horribly wrong. Terry, why would Bowley admit failure and U-turn? Because he's meant to be making the club win. It's a really weird question. Can't wait for Enzo and Caicedo available for 30 million each due to FFP. It's a very interesting point there, Sarim. Very, very interesting point there. Let's have a look here. Yes, protest. You should spend another 1 billion. See, no, listen, we can't do that to Chelsea. I'm going to defend Chelsea fans here. I'm defending Chelsea fans. They are not moaning about the money that's been a lack of spending. They're moaning about what it has been spent on and what they're talking about as their plan. Very different. Very different. You know, there are people in this world that don't have a lot, that may not have enough money, especially in a cost of living crisis. But imagine I do have money, but instead of buying my family the essentials, paying the gas and electric bill, buying the food they need, etc., I waste it all on nonsense. Even though we had the money, my family would still have the right to moan at me. That moaning at me for wasting money isn't disrespecting people with less money. It's just a different scenario. It's not comparative, it's just different. Chelsea fans should be frustrated at the way they're spending if they're not trying to add more senior people to their club. This year says protest against Bowley and Clearlake needs to start now, is what Saskew has got to say. All right, Tel, I know you're a mank. Did I miss your chats on Teta? Teta Pants Arteta. Tight Pants Arteta. We'll have another listen. Good day to you, sir. Thank you, Patrick Power. I appreciate that, my friend. We're going to recap and do some comments on that soon anyway, my friend. Terry, you're missing the point. You can sell Anthony to Chelsea for 120 million. Can you? They'd never do it, but can you imagine? No. I want $1 billion spent. We should have the best squad in the Premier League by far. Listen, you should have a better squad than you have. And it's okay doing it if your next 2 or 3 signings are all experienced, but you can't just go and sign another, 2 18-year-olds, a 19-year-old, and a 21-year-old with 80 games between them. You're going to stay where you are. You're going to stay where you are. And maybe, it's crazy to me personally. This year it says, imagine they want forwards could learn from Benny. Yeah, I hear you. Question, are Man U angry because a grown man went clubbing or he arrived late to training because of clubbing? I think it's a combination, Carl, and it's a really good super chat. And I'll tell you why it's a combination. I think it's a work night. You've got training early in the morning. Being out until the early hours is not conducive for any employee. I don't believe anyone can go to work tired or hungover and perform to an optimum level, especially when your job is physically based. So I think there's an element there which is just unprofessional. And I have that's how I view my own self. If I have a really important work day on whatever day it is, Friday, I am not out the night before drinking and getting crazy. I am getting to bed early. I'm making sure I'm ready for that day. And I think if you look at Man United's situation, every day is like that. You've got to be in training early. You've got to be giving it your all, ready to go. It wasn't late to training the next day. He called in sick, but he was out until the early hours of the morning. So that is not a good look. And the reports are also that multiple times this season, similar things have happened. So it isn't as simple as they're angry with him because he went to a nightclub. That would be a reductionist view on this circumstance. It's far more layered and deeper than that. Thank you, Studio Hooks here for gifting. That's amazing. 20 memberships have been gifted to you all this morning by my man here. Absolutely amazing from him. And to read out who's got them for you, Alberto Ray. There's one name that's written in a language I do not understand, so that's to you. Kevin Pope, 40-year-old Virgil. Kate. Kate's already on there, sorry. Slick Gossip. Darren's been given one. Raj, Glenn E, Gaz Taylor, Brian as well. Blaze has been given one. Who else has been given one here? Tony Rodriguez, Man like Pav, as in a lot of regular people here getting theirs. Get the likes up, people, as well, if you haven't done so already. So thank you, Studio Hooks, for gifting out all those memberships to the audience there as well. And I have just, if you are, by the way, if you're not a member, you're not going to be able to see this. I'm going to post something for members right now on the membership board. We're going to be getting back to a lot of this very, very soon. We've got some amazing things in the pipeline for the terrace, and I've kept very, very quiet about them for the last few months. There's a few more things to sort out on them, but I cannot wait to bring you essentially, I cannot wait to bring you the Football Terrace. Almost the Football Terrace 2.0 is on its way. But there is something I'm going to show the members now on the community page. Only if you're a member, you're going to be able to see this. Okay. Where's it at? Where's it at? I can't find it. There it is. Okay. Let me save it. So it's in my WhatsApp. So I need to save it to my hard drive. And then I'm gonna so if you're part of our member community, you can go and see this right now on our community page. AFTV 2.0. Nice try. It's a good joke though. It's a good joke. I like that. That's funny. Let me upload this now. Where is it at? There it is. Right. So if you're a member, you can go across and see it right now. It's available to all channel members. I've posted it on the community page. Then I want to see you come back, posted now, and don't tell anybody what it is. Just come and tell me how excited you are and what you think. I love it. But only our members know about that right now. Don't come in here and out it though. Just come in here and it looks good. I'm excited about it here. Thank you very much, Nitty Legend, for becoming a squad member of the Football Terrace. That means a great deal to us. Thank you very, very much indeed. Going to take some calls now. We've got my God, I can't believe he's here. I haven't spoke to this guy in probably a year, maybe more. I'm so excited to speak to him. Russell's with us, as well as young Tommy. How are you both?
I'm all right, man. Long time no see, man.
I know. You guys used to call in regularly, and now I barely hear from you.
Just been busy, man. Yeah, just been busy. So really busy.
How you doing, Terry?
Well, yeah,
I'm very, very good. I'm very, very good. And just want to say, a few people have gone to the members page. Mrs. here says, "Oh wow, looks amazing, effing beautiful stuff." I'm glad you guys have gone over there and seen it. So yeah, go check out the community page if you're a member. Studio Hooks likes the look of it as well. So if you're a member, go and check that out right now. I'm very, very excited about it. Yes, Kate there has gone across and seen it as well. So go check that out, my people, right now on our community page. I want to go to young Tommy first of all. Obviously, the stories are Arteta could leave. Then there's stories he's going to get a new deal. What's your take on the situation?
Well, Arteta leaving. Well, we don't know if it can just be rumors. It can just be rumors. I think this manager is going to stay because I've been Arteta out since 2020. I think he's staying. I don't know why this rookie manager is getting a new contract. He's got one FA Cup in 4 years. It's unacceptable, Terry. Unacceptable. One FA Cup in 4 years. We've gone out our cup competitions early. Enough is enough. We bottled the league last season. We bottled top 4 in 2022. His signings, Kai Havertz. Are you joking? Kai Havertz. Mohamed Kudus is the signs. We should get 65 million for Kai Havertz. Whack. And you know what? These signings he bought, Ranison, Fabio Vieira, Lokonga, Nuno Tavares, these average players. It's unacceptable. This is Arsenal Football Club. No title since 2004. I was still 9 the last time we won the league. I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 in 9 months. I know no title for almost 20 years. We've never won the Champions League. Our record in Europe is shocking. And I don't know why this manager is going to get a new deal. I don't understand. We've won FA Cup in 4 years. This club, we're not showing enough ambition. We are lowering the standards again. We're not going to win the league this season. Let's get that right. We're not winning the Champions League either. We're going to win nothing again. Then these Arteta lovers are going to keep making excuses. And people say, who are we going to get? Zidane's available. Yeah, we're not going to get Zidane. Zidane's wife doesn't want to move to England. He doesn't want to move to England. He wants the France job. Ancelotti signed a new deal. Simeone, new deal. We're not going. Conte is available. Yeah, people say his football is is not attacking. But I'll take Conte anyway. But Conte is linked with AC Milan, so I don't even know if he's going to happen. Nagelsmann's not going to happen. Luis Enrique, these top managers are not going to happen, and people are gonna be happy with this rookie manager. I don't know why people rate this guy. One FA Cup in 4 years is unacceptable, and we're not going to win anything again. And he's stubborn. He's arrogant. He brings on his stuff way too late every single time. Saka's, as much as I love Saka, he's been awful for me. He's been unperforming. Martinelli, yeah, he got that brace against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are shocking. Martinelli has been unperforming. Odegaard missing again. Declan Rice, I love him. He's been shocking in a few games. David Raya, oh my God, David Raya he's costing us games. Can't play out from the back. David Raya is not gonna. This manager has been disrespecting Ramsdale. Ramsdale's done nothing wrong. He got us second. He got us Champions League football game, and he's benched him, and he's lost his number one. We shouldn't have sold Emi Martinez, Guendouzi, Balogun. Balogun, yeah, people say, oh, what's he doing in France? He's got 4 goals. Yeah, he's got 4 goals, but Balogun is the future. And this rookie manager got rid of him. He's keeping Eddie Nketiah. Jesus, I rate Jesus, but he's not a goal scorer. He's never scored 20 goals. This is why Pep got rid of this guy. Oh, he's not in my plans anymore. We need a top striker. We're not going to get Tony. Brentford need Tony because they're fighting relegation. Brentford need Tony. Osimhen, as much as I love Osimhen, he missed a few chances for us because I'm Nigerian. He missed a few chances for us in AFCON. He's been made. I love Osimhen, but he's missed way too many chances. I'm not sure if I want Osimhen. I'm not sure. I love Ishak. I would love Balovic. We need a top striker. We need an attacking. We need a central midfielder. And we need a right winger. This manager overplays Saka too much. By 25, by 25, Saka can be finished by 25. The guy 22. This rookie manager is overplaying him too much. Are you trying to injure the guy? When he's playing badly, you don't take him off. It's like when we beat Bournemouth 4-0, Saka, this manager, I'm thinking, take him off. Rest him. But he's too stubborn with that. And it's not good enough as well. And we need a right winger. But this manager is absolutely clueless. I want him out. I want him sacked right now, but it's not going to happen. I'm Arteta out. You Arteta lovers can come for me, but I don't care. I just want what's best for my 20 years with no league title is unacceptable and not good enough. And I don't know why we're giving this manager a new contract when he's got 1 FA Cup in force. I don't know why. These owners, Stan Kroenke, Vinay, Edu needs to fix up as well. Needs to go as well. He's not my cup to. He may be an Arsenal legend, the invincible season, but you need to fix up. Getting Kai Havertz, runners to these dead players is unacceptable. And you know what? You rival fans can they're celebrating that this rookie manager is getting a new contract because you know what? I have nothing to say. And
listen, young Tommy, I understand and hear you. I can tell you haven't called in for a while because that was just like a 6-7 month unload of your frustrations there, my friend. And I do hear where you're coming from. Studio Hooks have joined us as well here.
I know, man.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to you in a minute, Tommy.
All right.
Russell, how are you, mate?
How am I? Well, football terms, I'm a Man United fan. So, yeah, football terms, you can only imagine, man. I'm on life support right now. But in my personal life, I'm all right, Terry.
Good, okay. Man. Good. Long time no here as well. I'm glad to hear you're doing well, my friend.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, didn't feel like calling in, to be fair, because of the shit we've been watching, excuse my language. It's kind of frustrating to kind of analyze players who don't show any heart and desire. You know, the whole passion thing that we always say it's a given. It's not a given with this Man United team. I'm seeing it from, we've watched Man United together post Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm seeing it from kids like Garnacho, Terry. Garnacho was winning an FA Cup final with the under 18s or under 21s just 2 years ago. It's the player I'm looking at, and I don't even rate him like that, to be fair. I don't think he's ready for top flight football in terms of where we want to go, but he's the only one. He meant, I would say Højlund, but yeah, I've got my reservations on Højlund as well. But he's the only one I was looking at and thinking, well, I can actually analyze his game and see where he's going with his career. The rest of the lot, Terry, it's fucking embarrassing, mate.
Listen, I understand where you're coming from, and I get as well from it's been hard to sort of, it's my job, so I have to do it. But there are some days, like me and KJ talk about it, I don't even want to discuss my club anymore. I find it so hard and difficult, especially when we see, or we have seen the same mistakes repeated by the board, by the owners, by the managers, year after year after year. You get a new group that come in and we all sit there and say, oh, hopefully it's better this time. But we kind of know it isn't going to be. And then the same mistakes are made, which is why I think under the new kind of part ownership, some of their early decisions so far have been really good. But then even then, I don't want to get carried away because we've seen good decisions in the early stages before and they've faded away. So
absolutely, we definitely, because I'm seeing a lot of fans making preconceived assumptions about the whole thing with the Ineos, and I'm thinking, how many times have we been beaten? You know, once beaten, twice shy. With Man United, it's once beaten, twice, thrice, 5 times beaten, and we still think the same thing. And fine, they got Omar and everything, but the problem with Man United right now, I see, is everything is always sensationalized. Anything small that happens, it's sensationalized, and you lose yourself in that whole sauce. It's like we're actually losing focus because there's so many stories left, right, and center that we don't even know where we're going. At this point, in my opinion, Man United are in the Liverpool phase of the mid-2000s. At least Liverpool won the Champions League, but we're right in it. And some fans are so delusional to think that, oh yeah, Ineos is here. Oh, look what they've done. Let's see next season. We'll make some signings. At the end of the day, Ineos are here on loan. Because I had to read into this Ineos thing. And apparently in a year and a half, Terry, you might know better, but apparently in a year and a half, the Glazers can make a decision whether they want to continue this deal that they have with Ineos or they want to pay them back their money and stay in charge of Man United. So how much really has changed? Because these guys have been playing.
I've read those stories. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe that someone's going to pump in 1.6 billion pound of their own money just for there to be a clause in 18 months where the Glazers say, thank you for that money, see you later. I don't think it will be as simplistic as that. That there may be, what you might find is it's partly true. What you might find is that in 18 months, a certain amount more money is meant to come in. And if they don't invest it, then they lose out, as an example. I don't see it being as simple as the Glazers can just, in 18 months, get rid of Ineos. No one's going to put that kind of money in just to be kicked out in that way. But I do understand your cynicism, and I do understand why you're skeptical, my friend. And we'll come back to you in a minute, Russell. Studio Hooks is here. Now, everyone let you know, Studio Hooks is the guy that just gave 20 of you membership. So big him up when he comes on. Remind everyone who you support, bro.
Yeah, I'm a gooner, man. Come on.
You're a gooner. Thanks, by the way, for your membership and what you do for the channel, mate. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man, no problem, man. I've been following for a time, and I can't believe it's taking me this long to jump on. So, yeah, no, thanks.
No worries, my guy. I wanted to ask you, like, what's your take on this current Arteta situation? You had the New Deal story came out Saturday, and loads of gooners were upset, loads were angry. And then you get the rumor last night he could be leaving at the end of the season, and it was split reversed. So how do you see it? Do you think he deserves a new deal, or would you like to see him leave at the end of the season?
I'd like to see him stay, if I'm being completely honest. I'm someone who prefers stability. I came from the era of being a fan during the Arsene Wenger period. So I'm used to having a man at the helm who we follow his ideas and we just see it through. So I don't know why Arteta would present a plan to the board and we're gonna not allow him to see it through. That's my opinion, at least, innit? I'm not someone who's super reactionary to what happens on the field. I think we've played well. The first 2 years of his management was a bit, but he was dealing with a lot of players that I thought was crap. So, sorry for the.
No, you can swear.
I can. Perfect, man.
That's an acceptable. We just don't really like that. YouTube doesn't like the F bomb or the C bomb. Other than that, it's kind of okay. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll keep that in mind. But I don't know. I like what Arteta's doing. I like what I'm seeing on the pitch. I like the profile of player that he's signing, and I understand that we do have a bit of youth in our team. So give it a few more years. Saka's going to be in his prime. Martinelli's going to be in his prime. We'll see things unlocked, right? There's the summer window. We're going to invest heavily, apparently. So I don't know. Why would you tap out now when he's not actually really doing that bad? A lot of people were under the kind of thought process that we're going to fall off this season, but we're still in the top 4 at this point of the season. So obviously last season wasn't a fluke. We just need to tweak a few things and then we'll be right back where we need to be. So patience, people, patience. Don't worry, man, it's coming.
Yeah, I do think there's an element there of so much truth in relation to this season, because let's say you don't win either of the next 2 games. I get the fallout. You win your next 2 games, you're 2 points off the top, and we're going into the home straight, and that in itself disproves. Again, this is where I like balance. So I think there's things to criticize Arteta about this year. There's things to criticize Arsenal about overall. But the people that are the vehement get him out the club guys, the ones that they'll die on that hill, stated last year was a fluke and you won't challenge again this year. So depending on and everybody has a different definition of when the title race begins. We have LB that comes on the show who literally says you're in the title race until you're not. So essentially it's all season long. But you could definitely win your next 2 games. By doing that, you instantly prove Arteta's biggest detractor is wrong, who stated that last year was a fluke anyway and you were going to fall off. And that's why I think that there needs to be nuance in this discussion. Like I said earlier, I think there is nothing wrong with wanting a better manager than Arteta, but he has to be a better manager. And there's a lot of circular sort of opinions that I see going on where people will say, sack Arteta, but only if you bring me Zidane. And all I see in that is, well, you're going to be angry no matter what happens. And he's either going to stay and you're going to be angry, or you're going to sack him and not get Zidane, and you're going to continue to be angry. So you've got to sometimes be balanced and say, well, I want Arteta out, but only when there is a better manager who is attainable for us to buy. I think that is a far better, because I'm pretty sure if Pep Guardiola or Klopp today said, I'd love to become the Arsenal manager, even a lot of people that love Arteta would say, thanks, Mikel. But we know we're going to get a better manager in now who can get. Did you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I completely understand. Pep, yes. Klopp, not so much. Just because I feel that the image that we have now is similar to Man City, so the Pep switch would make sense. Klopp kind of plays a whole different brand of football to Arteta, so we would have to make more signings. It could potentially put me back. I'm not saying that Klopp is he's a great manager. I just wouldn't want him at Arsenal. Personally, that's my personal opinion. But something that I do find funny is last season, I wasn't allowed to be gassed about Arsenal doing well because we're not in a title race until March, April. But all of a sudden, the title race begins earlier this year, and now we're not in it because of how we've been performing before March and April. So
Do you
know what? I just have to accept that, like Manchester United, my club is just hated by a lot of people because they probably grew up watching Thierry Henry punching the teams up. So, you know, it is what it is.
Do you know what I find mad about it as well? I said this last week on a show. I had to go chiropractors last week, and I'm driving back in my car just thinking, and this thought popped into my head. And this was aimed at a lot of people that say Arteta out. A lot of them I've heard say, we're 1 striker away. We don't get that striker, we're not winning the league. I'm like, okay. And most Arteta outers think that Pep and City are the best team in the world. It's almost like a part of the cult. So, okay, you're 1 striker away from being better than a team you say is one of the greatest in the history of English football. But yet you also say that Arteta's done nothing to improve your club. That's what I mean by the unbalance in the talk. Last year, the title race was the last 5 games. This year, you're out of it because you're 5 points behind now. You're right. I didn't even think about that one. It's again, I don't think it's wrong to say you don't rate Arteta, like young Tommy said. It's fine, but you have to be consistent with your view. The title race isn't at different stages every year, depending on your agenda. You've got to have the same energy. You can't say we're 1 player away from beating the City team to the league title, but in the same breath, that your squad's trash, your team's rubbish, and you need an overhaul. That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. But yes, it's crazy to me, my bro. And I hear a lot of what you're saying. DR's with us here. DR's a Chelsea fan. It's been said today, DR, that you're not going to try and sign any older players. It's all going to be kids. What's going on?
I'm lost for words. My board and management are playing Football Manager, and they're looking for Drogba and Lampard regions. I mean, I've seen Osimhen for the past 2 years, and he's a good striker, but like, it's like, is he gonna play like Mateta at Chelsea? Because I can't have a Mateta version of Osimhen at Chelsea for what's going to be 100 million. So we need to be careful here. We need to be very, very careful here. I just want things to make sense. We need a striker, and we need age. I feel like everyone knows it. We just need age in that dressing room because that squad is a very young squad. And Benzema would have been perfect. He would have been perfect. I mean, yes, it limits Brozier and Jackson's playing time, but that's good. because they can be on the bench and they can come on and have an impact here or there. Benzema's ready. I think he's also fit. Like, I don't question his fitness, and he would have been perfect for this team. But they don't want us to. They want to do the football manager route, and it's so clear.
Yeah, look, listen. I hope for Chelsea's sake that this is just not a miss. Listen, David Ornstein is amazing at what he does, but I hope that it's a bit of a miscommunication, and I say that from the perspective of just looking at emerging talents is crazy to me. You have to bring in some experience. Now, it doesn't have to be 36-year-old Benzema. That maybe they're being told by his team in Saudi that you've got to pay. You can only have him if you pay £800,000 a week of his salary, and Chelsea have gone far too expensive. That doesn't make sense. But if you guys are genuinely not looking to sign 26, 27, 28-year-olds to help these brilliant young talents grow, you may still get to the top of the mountain, but it's going to take you 2, 3, 4 more years longer, in my opinion. And there's an interesting comment that came through here that said, don't let this clown Terry, that's me, the clown, gaslight you about the under-25 policy that doesn't exist. And look, I'm not... Again, you're saying it exists. I'm saying I'm skeptical about it. I'm just going based on what David Ornstein, one of the most concise, one of the most accurate, and one of the most credible journalists in the world, has stated due to a direct contact with Chelsea. And I'll quote his words again for you and put them up on the screen. That they are prioritizing emerging elite talents like Palmer and Gusto. He has been told this by the club. Now, that's not gaslighting. Secondly, people have got to stop using the word gaslight or gaslighting. I hate that word. That word. And I say why people have got to stop using it. Because what it means is it's a psychological manipulation that an abuser holds over a victim. I'm not abusing Chelsea fans by reading out a comment from a credible journalist saying, are you not concerned about this? That is not gaslighting, because I'm not holding any control over you. I'm not distorting reality or forcing them to question their own judgment on the situation. I'm literally asking you to respond to comments that are being made by credible people that echo exactly what you have done and we've all witnessed over the last 18 months. Now, David Kitts, if your view is, I just think we don't want Benzema, I think we'll buy some older players in the summer, that's a fair response, and I think that's a credible one. There's no gaslighting going on here because you are not a victim and you're not being abused by anybody. So let's stop using the word gaslighting like so readily. It's like the word clickbait. It gets used now. So people use it to discredit stories that are true they don't like. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. You know, clickbait would be how to get a six-pack in 20 minutes. And then the video is of a man walking a dog. That's what it used to be. Now we use it to discredit things that we just don't like. It's weird. Like, stop using the wrong words for things like that. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. It really, really is.
It is true, by the way. Like, we keep signing every single month, every single 2 weeks. Chelsea are rumored to sign this Brazilian teenager. Chelsea are rumored to sign this French teenager. Chelsea are rumored to sign this European, Russian teenager. Like, it's too much. Like, we're going way too far with finding gems instead of just cultivating what we have right now and then adding to it. And it's really annoying. Really annoying. Exactly.
And you can't gaslight an entire fan base. And atypically, when you gaslight people, you're doing it in a private surrounding where you're manipulating an individual where there's no other ears. You can't. What I love about the football terrace community at large is that I'll say something, as in I'll read an article out. Some will say I don't believe it. Some will say I do believe it. I'll give an opinion. Some will say I agree. Some will say I disagree. By definition, you cannot gaslight somebody in that environment because it's an open forum, not a closed, secluded echo chamber where you can manipulate. So I just want to say to people, stop using the word completely out of the context of which it was meant, because it's ridiculous. Yeah, it really, really is ridiculous in my personal opinion. Barf here says, using your platform to push panic, talk about United in shambles. But it isn't to push panic. It's not what we're trying to do. It's to ascertain opinions of people so they can express themselves. Now, some people may panic. We can't help that. But we're not out here saying every Chelsea fan should panic, go and burn the club down. That is not what it is at all. And Man United, in my opinion, are a shambles. But I take calls from people and I take opinion from people that disagree with that. So therefore, it is not the echo chamber of which you claim it to be.
I'm not panicking as a Chelsea fan about this because it's promising. Like a lot of you guys from our rivals would love to have these players that we have to add to your team, but we have so many like gems and young players and players that are, you know, big names because they deserve that big name. So I'm not panicking, but I am a bit annoyed by like, come on, it's common sense now. Like it just makes sense to go get an experienced midfielder now, or an experienced striker, or one more experienced winger, because our wide players are really young. Maybe someone to add with Raheem Sterling. Just one or two positions, just some age in that dressing room, because everyone is like really young. You gotta imagine it like it's like a bunch of like year 8s, year 7s, but you need a year 11, a senior player or a senior person in that area, and they need more of that, and that's just what we want in that team.
No, I hear you. Maradon here says, Terry, stop saying football gods. There's no such thing. Do you even go to church? Well, then you by this claim, I'm going to assume you do. You may not. Just Google for 5 minutes what the Bible says about the pride before the fall. So yes, the Bible does not refer to the football gods, but it certainly, and I'm sure most religions do, regard to things about pride before the fall and tempting fate and arrogance and what this can lead to. So it certainly does exist within the Christian religion, just under different words. Saying football gods is a little bit of a joke, but there's certainly pride before the fall and talks of arrogant behaviors within all religious books, in my personal opinion. There must be. There simply has to be, in my view. Well, I know there is when it comes to the Bible.
I'm Terry.
There we go. Yes.
About Ten Hag, do you think he's going to go at the end of the season, in your opinion? Because I think he looks so clueless and out of his depth for you guys.
Yeah, I think the club will move him on. Yeah, I think the club will move him on.
So who do you want?
To.
Ancelotti, Simeone?
Simeone would be my number one choice. He's who I think.
Yes,
I know he has just renewed his contract.
Simeone at my top manager. Though.
Yeah, I don't think we can take. We can't get Pep. We can't get Klopp. We can't get Ancelotti away from Real Madrid. Zidane doesn't want to manage in England.
What about Hansi?
Everybody else.
What about Hansi?
He looks like he's going. I read last night he's going somewhere else. Where did I read he was going last night? I can't remember where.
Club now.
But he's currently the Germany manager, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Sorry. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I'll have to. You've got a real big delay. He's not available though, is he? He's got the Germany job. I'm just. You've got a mad delay on your line, Tom. So like, I was going to mute you.
Hansi Flick is going to Barcelona apparently.
Yeah. So again, Hansi Flick is someone I would look at, but Diego Simeone is just my top choice right now. Just for me personally, but that's just me. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. Lottery gods. It's true. I was going to Google it here. I don't know. The Bible on. Let's just do things. Arrogance. I bet there's something about it. What does the Bible say about arrogance? There's lots of things here. When pride comes, there comes disgrace. But when humility comes, wisdom. I don't know what that means. But yeah, there's loads of stuff. And all it is really, the football gods is don't tempt the fate. Don't be arrogant because you get punished. And I'm sure it's in there. So, yeah, we know it exists to a certain degree. Listen, I want to thank everybody that has tuned into the show today. Please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the Terrace. We're back at 6 p.m. today for the Top 6 show. So make sure you're all tuning in. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon.